Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, was just indicted on at least one felony charge. And ALVIN Bragg and Donald Trump are certainly going to face off in court. But the question is, how will these two face off in a presidential election? Well, today we'll figure it out. Now, first off, let's go for the safe and likely states. Now, we have the safe states for Trump already. We have all the safe states for ALVIN Bragg, and a couple of them are considered likely. Now, ALVIN Bragg would definitely be a very terrible candidate. We all know that he is associated with the with the label of a witch hunt. True or not, the American public generally does not perceive him that well. Even moderate Democrats such as Joe Manchin have called this a witch hunt, suggesting that ALVIN Bragg is not going to win over many moderate voters who may perceive this as a political attack on the former president of the United States. So, the likely states, some of them are filled in. Let's go with the Trump likely states. I think Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina, Alaska. These are obviously likely states for Donald Trump. I think, again, first of all, these are typically considered likely Republican states, and against ALVIN Bragg, these are most certainly likely Republican states. Now, as well as that, the state of Illinois, the states of Texas. This is a state that's trending more moderate, trending a lot of these suburban voters that end up voting for Biden over Trump, seeing Trump as the extremist and Biden as a more centrist candidate. Now ALVIN Bragg again associated with that label, which is a witch hunt. That's not going to help him in the state of Texas. As well as that, in the state of Florida, Donald Trump's home state, again, ALVIN Bragg is definitely not that well, probably not that well liked in the state of Florida, so I'm going to give it likely for the former president. So that gives Trump to 218. Now, ALVIN Bragg still has a couple likely states here: Colorado, New Mexico. These are likely states. New Mexico could actually be a lean state, in my opinion, because, again, ALVIN Bragg, not necessarily the most popular Democrat that could be nominated. Virginia, however, trending blue, is still going to be a likely state. Not much of an explanation there. ALVIN Bragg, though not a popular candidate, would still win a state like Virginia. I also think the state of Maine lean for the Democratic Party. Not much explanation there. Again, the first district is likely, so it makes more sense that this is lean instead of a likely blue district, as the second district, although carries a substantially less amount of votes, does still end up shifting the state a little bit more towards the Republican Party. Now, for the final couple of states here, these are considered toss-up states, or states that are considered competitive. However, Trump should be able to win over most of them because ALVIN Bragg is the Democrat. Now, first off, in the Rust Belt, I'm going to start off by giving Wisconsin as likely for the former president. Again, Rust Belt filled with many of these worker type of voters, and these voters I don't think are going to take the Trump indictment that well, regardless if many people support the former president or not. At the end of the day, there are still many people who don't agree with his indictment, even though they are critics of Donald Trump himself. Now, finally, as well as that, the state of Pennsylvania, I also think this will be a lean state. Again, ALVIN Bragg, though the district attorney in the neighboring state of New York, in the Manhattan district attorney, at the end of the day, this is definitely what I would consider a state that does have much more suburban voters, much more moderate voters, and that's gonna end up helping Donald Trump's chances at winning Pennsylvania. As well as that, the state of Michigan. This is also going to be a state that is considered lean for Donald Trump. Again, this might not be a lean state, might not even be a tilt state for Trump in against someone like Donald Trump, against someone like Joe Biden or someone like Kamala Harris. By the end of the day, against ALVIN Bragg, I definitely think this is lean. Now, North Carolina, this is a lean state, if not a likely state. For Trump, again, ALVIN Bragg in the Midwestern state, Mid-Eastern state of New York, and at the end of the day, this is not going to help. The indictment is just not, him being perceived as a witch hunter is just not going to end up helping him in the state of North Carolina, which traditionally has a lot of ex-urban voters. Those are voters that are typically more centrist, more moderate, could go either way, and those are not voters that's going to like ALVIN Bragg. Georgia, similarly, although ALVIN Bragg is a person of color, that is not going to help him in this. Well, that may or may not help him in Georgia, but his name being labeled as a political witch hunter, not going to be helpful for him in the state of Georgia. I think Arizona is well going to be a lean red state as well. This is a more moderate state. Now, Alvin Bragg is considered a more extreme person, so that's definitely not going to help him win the state. Now, for finally the state of Nevada here, we have the state as a lean Republican state. Again, Alvin Bragg, I don't know how well he can really prove to Hispanics to be a good candidate, especially because although if anything, if people know his name, it's not for something that's considered super positive. So at the end of the day, lack of positive name recognition is going to end up helping Donald Trump end up winning. And also Alvin Bragg, I don't know how well of an experienced candidate he could be. So Minnesota is going to be tilt as well. This is a state that has voted for Democrats even in the Walter Mondale election back in 1984, in which Walter Mondale lost every single state except the state of Minnesota. So, but at the end of the day, I just don't think Alvin Bragg can do even remotely well in pretty much any region of the United States. And New Hampshire's well tilt for Donald Trump. Nebraska second went away from Donald Trump, considering they didn't really like Trump's rhetoric. This is a suburban, exurban city. This is a city that has a lot of what is considered suburban or competitive land. Those areas shifted heavily away from Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, I think Alvin Bragg is viewed as even the more extreme option. So at the end of the day, I think Trump is going to win this district as well, which ends today's video. Alvin Bragg, a complete loser in terms of being a political presidential candidate. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.